What's going on? All right, UFC 183 results, and we're going to talk about, basically the afterthoughts, my afterthoughts of the Nick Diaz versus Anderson Silva fight. Initially, when I watched the fight, I thought it was a good fight. And I thought, man, Nick Diaz he's going to gain some respect from this fight because he didn't get knocked out, and he stood right in there, right in the middle of the cage, and I felt like, I'm not saying Anderson didn't win. I know he outstruck Nick and all that, but initially I felt like, Nick Diaz, either way he won in the eyes of, in my eyes, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more on that too, but that's what I initially thought. I'm like, oh man, he's got mad respect, man, because he's gonna get mad respect from this fight, because it's kind of like, he clowned him and all that, but also, like I said, he's in the middle of the cage, and he's a smaller guy. He's not even supposed to be fighting Anderson Silva. He's doing something that. You're doing something that's extraordinary, extraordinary, it's ordinary to fight at your weight class. It's extraordinary to go up a weight class to fight somebody who's the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Could say that. But then now I'm looking back on it, and I'm disappointed in this fight. I think Nick Diaz, what his strategy was, is look, I'm going to spend some time in the cage, and Anderson's going to have to bring this fight to me. And I think that's what he did, and I don't think that people really realize that. They say, they're looking at Anderson Silva's strategy to not go and just have a slugfest with Nick. But you're not looking at Nick's strategy. Nick's standing back, saying, "Bring the fight to me." It's like if two kids are playing in King of the Hill on a snow pile. The guy's standing up on the snow pile, and you're running around and you're throwing snowballs at him, and you're hitting him, but he's up on top of the hill. You got to come knock him off the top of that snow hill to be King of the Hill. And I really wish UFC was like that. They could even put a damn circle in the middle of the octagon, and and say, okay, come in this circle. It doesn't work that way. So I'm not saying that Nick won the fight, but I am saying I'm disappointed in the fight. Now, I don't blame Nick Diaz for. How many times have we seen guys run into Anderson Silva and get knocked out? And, I think they think that was his strategy. He just did not want to get knocked out. And he just wanted to go in there and he was going to do his fight. And whatever happened in the fight is what happens. But he wasn't going to go out there and make a fool out of himself trying to fight some fight for the judges or whatever. And so, but I have to say, I think that we really lost out as fans. It's this big fight, and it's just kind of disappointing, man. Especially Anderson Silva, he was there, he just wanted to get the win, but it's I really wish the judges would just said, you know what, I don't know, something's wrong. That's all I'm saying. Something's wrong. We've been bamboozled by this. It's big fight, but then they didn't fight. It didn't. What I'm saying is, it's like they didn't fight. It looked like a sparring match, a exhibition match of some kind. It didn't really look like a real fight. Neither guy got hurt. Nick got a couple stitches, but it just, I mean, they just paid these guys millions of dollars, and people paid like all this money for to watch these fights, and I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't think I just don't get it, man. It was just something. It wasn't a fight. You see a better fight in Bellator if you want to watch a fight, because they're going to show up and fight. And the thing is, neither Anderson Silva or Nick Diaz fights like this. When I mean fight like that, I mean stand around and just do nothing. It's like, money kind of ruins things, sports, and I think that's the case here. I mean, like, Nick's like, oh, I'm gonna make a bunch of money. I don't even like the UFC or any of this business, but he was just there, and he's going to spend some time, and he just didn't want to get knocked out by Anderson, which makes perfect sense. But really, I mean, what's up with Anderson Silva? I mean, you got Nick Diaz, a smaller guy, and you're not even going to come in and try and engage. And I mean, there was like no engagement at all, man. Like, there was no come in and boom, hammer it out and get it. I mean, it was just like one punch here, a little bit there, and there was maybe only a couple times where they really like actually fought. And it was just really disappointing, man. Really disappointing. Like, I watched the fight again, like 2 days later, and I was like, man, this fight sucks. I mean, it really did. Like, at first it was interesting. It had me on my seat, on the edge of my seat, because it's like, oh, we're going to see what happens. And I even said that. I said, I just hope Nick doesn't just get knocked out in like the first 20 seconds. Because, first minute or first round, because we've seen Anderson, he knocked so many guys out. So, just right off the bat. So it's kind of neat to see that Nick can go in there and hang with Anderson Silva. And but it was disappointing that nothing really came of that. It's like they were feeling it out in the first round, and it just stayed like that. Like, it's like, I mean, that's got to be an easy way to. I mean, at that rate, heck, I probably could have fought Anderson Silva and survived that time. I could have survived that type of Anderson Silva onslaught. I mean, probably not. It probably would have kicked my head off. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, really only had to. You only got to go in there and just take a few punches and a few wimpy leg kicks. I mean, Nick was throwing these wimpy leg kicks. I mean, the whole thing was really bizarre, man. But I have to say, I don't think. I mean, Nick is in the middle of the cage. He's even clowning around about it. He's like, here, I'm in the middle of the cage. And this is just not willing to do anything about it. And also, he has nothing to prove. He's the smaller guy. He's not even supposed to be there fighting Anderson Silva, maybe. And, but yeah, it was just a disappointing fight, man. I think Anderson Silva needs to retire. He obviously can't fight at all. He stinks. I mean, he got his ass beat by Chris Weidman. Even that second fight, Chris Weidman just was destroying him. And then you come in, you fight Nick Diaz, and you're not even willing to engage and try and fight for real. It's like, man, this guy's just getting big money, like, and doing nothing. I mean, and the thing with Nick is, yeah, he kind of stood there. They're not fighting. He's clowning around, but if Anderson had came in and engaged, we would have got a good fight. We got a real fight, and Nick would have been fighting. So, I mean, I don't really think it was Nick's responsibility, other than if he just really wanted to win the fight, which I think Nick just wanted to go in there and survive and not get knocked out and not make a fool of himself by getting knocked out. And yeah, man, it just really kind of a disappointing fight. And like 5 years from now, I highly doubt anybody's going to be like, ooh, I'm going to go watch the Nick Diaz-Anderson Silva fight. I mean, really, it's like we'll go back and we'll watch other Nick Diaz fights. We'll go back, maybe watch other Anderson Silva fights. This fight was, man, it was just a real... It was really boring, man. It really was. Not initially, but the fight after, seeing it, I mean, it's just nothing there, man. These guys got nothing. So, you know, they got a bunch of money. You know, they both got a bunch of money. So, yeah, but that's that. All right, I'll catch you guys later.